Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season.
I think I found a way through over there.
It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
That's wild. Every time that song got played, I thought about Joel and I would cry. But because we spent the entire last episode or two just not even thinking about him too much, in my humble opinion, and I know nothing, okay, and I'm not a writer, we could have started the episode there. Shouldn't need to be triangulating. Ellie didn't need to be dumb.
Yes, maybe we can prop it open with something and you can slide.
Whoa! Oh my god, what?
Is it getting bigger?
Stop it.
No, seriously, what's with that?
It's fine, Joel.
Does it hurt?
Joel, please, you're making me self-conscious.
I'm sorry, it's just a little bit startling.
It's a normal head, Joel. Can we just get back to the door things?
Planetary.
Leave it.
It's gonna have its own area code soon.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Ellie's super smart. What? Characterization of Ellie being dumb is weird.
So maybe if I just move some of this debris, we can get the door open a crack.
Hey! Here! Oh my goodness, Joel! What do I do?
Jesus!
Joel, focus!
Again?
Joel!
Okay, I guess just use your telekinesis?
I don't have telekinesis, Joel!
I don't believe you! Look at the size of that thing! Just try, Ellie, please! I think it's working, Ellie. Keep trying. Come on, cranium. Yeah!
Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsey in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was. I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christy, not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her when things inevitably start spiraling.
Oh my God. She is so full of it.
This is not what
the finale drew over 50% less than the finale of season 1. You lost half of your...
She was hailed as the next breakout star of a generation, praised for her raw intensity, called a once-in-a-decade talent. But just 2 years later, Hollywood has gone quiet. No press appearances, no casting announcements, not even a farewell post. Bella Ramsey didn't just disappear, she was erased.
Stop being mean to Bella Ramsey in The Last of Us 2. That's what the journalists are saying. But what the internet is saying, no, we want more memes about her. And unfortunately, the internet gets what it wants.
How does an actor go from headlining one of the most ambitious TV adaptations of all time to being quietly removed from the spotlight without a single official explanation? Some say it was her outspoken beliefs. Others point to the fan backlash, or the rumors that HBO never really wanted her in the first place. And then there are those who believe this was a coordinated takedown, a silent cancellation without the press release.
There was a lot of deviations and more than anything, terrible casting on the part of Neil Druckmann and the director and producer of this show, Craig Mazin. I think they did a terrible job with a lot of the actors they did choose for The Last of Us, including Pedro Pascal, who's just overexposed now.
But it didn't start this way. In fact, it started with hype, big hype. Bella Ramsey had already made a name for herself before The Last of Us. She was the pint-sized powerhouse in Game of Thrones, stealing scenes from veteran actors with nothing but grit and great delivery. People thought she was untouchable, the kind of young star who grows into a legacy, until she got the role that should have made her one. When HBO announced Bella as the lead in The Last of Us, the internet didn't just react, it exploded, and not in the way HBO expected. Because this wasn't just a casting decision. This was the moment that lit the fuse, the beginning of one of the most divisive fan reactions we saw in modern TV history. A fandom torn apart, a performance dissected to the bone, and a young actor caught in the middle of something much, much bigger than herself. This is the story of how a star was built and dismantled, of how Bella Ramsey, once the face of Ellie, became a cautionary tale for an industry that moves fast and forgets even faster. And to understand the collapse, you have to start where it all went wrong, with the casting that sparked a war. It was early 2021. The internet internet was buzzing with rumors. HBO had officially confirmed that The Last of Us, one of the most beloved video game stories ever made, was getting a live-action series, and expectations were sky high. Fans had one burning question: who's going to play Ellie? When Bella Ramsey was announced, reactions were instant and polarizing. Some cheered. After all, she had proven herself on Game of Thrones. But others, not so much. And the backlash wasn't subtle. It was loud, it was personal, and it hit like a wave. The biggest complaint? She doesn't look like Ellie. Fans picked apart every detail. Her facial features, her build, even her voice. Memes comparing her to the game character went viral within hours. It wasn't just about performance, it was about perception. To some fans, Ellie wasn't just a role. She was a symbol, and Bella didn't fit the mold. What made it worse? The backlash came before anyone saw a single scene. No trailer, no clip, no performance, just her face and an avalanche of judgment. But Bella didn't back down. In interviews, she held her ground. She reminded people that stories evolve, that Ellie's soul wasn't about appearance, it was about attitude, grit, defiance. And to her credit, critics would later praise her performance for exactly that: emotional honesty and raw, believable rage. But the fandom? It was already divided, and it wouldn't heal. Behind the scenes, HBO doubled down. They released promotional images, teasers, carefully edited interviews showing Pedro Pascal and Bella together, laughing, bonding, trying to sell the chemistry. But the comment sections told another story. Fans began dissecting every detail. Why did they cast her? This isn't Ellie. They ruined the character. It wasn't a typical casting controversy. This had become personal. Bella wasn't just questioned, she was attacked. The industry stood by her. The showrunners defended her talent. But the internet doesn't wait for performances. It forms judgments in real time, and then finds evidence to back them up later. And that's exactly what happened, because the next rumor to hit the fandom made everything worse, and it would turn the criticism into obsession. It started as a whisper, a half-forgotten interview here, a casting leak there. But in 2023, the rumor exploded. Bella Ramsey wasn't HBO's first choice to play Ellie. The name that surfaced? Kaitlyn Dever. Known for her emotionally charged roles in Booksmart and Unbelievable, Kaitlyn had long been fan-casted as Ellie. She had the look, she had the voice. And now fans were claiming, with receipts, that she'd nearly landed the role. Suddenly, the fandom had a new narrative. Bella didn't win the role. She inherited it. YouTube exploded with comparison videos. Reddit threads broke down every detail: posture, expression, vocal inflection, trying to prove that Dever was the real Ellie. TikTok edits flooded the platform. Side-by-side scenes, fake audition clips, deepfakes showing Kaitlyn in actual episodes. And fans didn't stop there. They started asking why the better choice had been passed over. The conspiracy theories rolled in. HBO chickened out at the last minute. There were internal bias. Bella was cheaper, and suddenly Bella wasn't just Ellie anymore. She was the placeholder, the second choice, the one who got the role, but maybe didn't deserve to keep it. And here's where it gets really dark. Some fans stopped criticizing Bella's performance and started questioning her presence altogether. Why is she still in season 2? Why hasn't HBO recast her? Why isn't Pedro Pascal saying more about her role? What started as an internet theory became an identity crisis, not just for Bella, but for the show itself. It was no longer The Last of Us. It was Team Bella versus Team Dever. And Bella? She stayed silent. No denial, no engagement, no drama. But the silence didn't protect her. It fueled the fire. Because to the internet, silence isn't peace. It's weakness. And with each unanswered rumor, the campaign against her picked up speed. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more chaotic, season 2 premiered. And what followed wasn't just criticism. It was collapse. Season 2 of The Last of Us was supposed to be Bella Ramsey's victory lap. She had silenced many of the early doubters with a strong first season. Emotional scenes, raw delivery, critical praise. She was nominated for awards, interviewed by late-night hosts, featured in magazines. But when season 2 dropped, something shifted fast. The premiere numbers were down, not just by a little, but by over 50% compared to the season 1 finale. Half the audience vanished, and with it, so did the support. Fans started picking apart everything: the writing, the pacing, the tone, and most of all, Bella. She wasn't being judged by her performance anymore. She was being judged by her presence. Promo materials stopped highlighting her. Instead, they leaned hard into Pedro Pascal. He became the centerpiece of trailers, press tours, even merch. Bella? She was there, but never spotlighted. In interviews, questions about Ellie's arc were dodged. Other cast members spoke vaguely, and Bella's interviews began drying up. The message was subtle, but unmistakable. She was still on the show, but she wasn't the face of it anymore. And then came the leaks. Anonymous industry accounts began whispering that HBO was rethinking the direction of the franchise, that they were reconsidering Ellie's role entirely. Some reports even suggested that Bella's scenes were being reduced, that new characters were being introduced to broaden the narrative. Online, fans took this as confirmation. They're phasing her out. She was never meant to stay. Damage control. And while all of this was happening, Bella was still doing her job. Still filming, still posting, still showing up, but every move she made was under the microscope. Her outfits were analyzed. Her pronouns were debated. Her facial expressions during interviews were turned into viral clips with captions like, "Bella looks miserable. She's over it. Where's the energy?" It wasn't just criticism. It was character destruction in meme form. And once the internet decides you're cringe, it's over. Parody videos started trending. Clips of her serious scenes from the show were re-edited for laughs. one-offs. Even The Simpsons, South Park, and Family Guy took swings at her, roasting her performance, her public persona, and her views. Bella wasn't just a target, she was a punchline. And when Hollywood starts laughing at you instead of with you, you don't get the next big role. You don't get any role. What started as casting controversy had now turned into something darker. Bella Ramsey wasn't just facing backlash for her performance, she was being targeted for who she was. Because Bella wasn't just an actress. She spoke her mind, loudly. She publicly supported LGBTQ+ rights. She called out racism in the entertainment industry. To many, that made her fearless, a Gen Z icon. To others, it made her social threat. Screenshots of her posts started circulating like wildfire. Headlines spun every comment into controversy. One day, she was applauded for being bold. The next, she was trending for being too woke. YouTube commentators began dragging her in long-form breakdowns. Cable pundits started labeling her a Hollywood mistake. Right-wing influencers launched full campaigns against her, and one of them even started a petition demanding HBO never work with her again. It gained over 1 million signatures. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from, was she miscast, to, should she even be on TV at all? And the fallout was instant. Brand deals that once proudly featured her name went silent. Partnerships quietly expired without renewal. She was no longer the young star you booked to lead a campaign. She was the one PR department started avoiding. And Bella tried to keep her head up. She smiled through interviews. She joked about the hate. She clapped back at roasts when necessary. But the fatigue started to show. She was fighting a war that didn't care about facts or context, just optics and outrage. And in the age of digital dogpiles, even silence becomes a weapon. Because Bella didn't issue long apologies. She didn't post a Notes app confession. She didn't backtrack, and Hollywood noticed. There were no more red carpets, no more variety profiles, and then no more Bella. Her social media went dark. The HBO official account unfollowed her. Pedro Pascal stopped liking her posts. Fan pages that once flooded timelines with edits and memes of her quietly stopped updating altogether. The entertainment machine had shifted its focus and left her behind. And just when people thought things couldn't get more dystopian, the AI rumors started. But that's the next chapter. Just when it seemed like Bella Ramsey's situation couldn't get any worse, a new leak hit the internet. This time, it wasn't about scripts or casting decisions. It was about something far more surreal and chilling. Reports surfaced that HBO had begun experimenting with AI technology to digitally recreate Ellie. Without Bella. No voice, no face, no Bella. Just lines of code trained to mimic the character without needing the actor who had played her. At first, fans thought it had to be fake. Clickbait. Speculation. Another Reddit rumor. But then came the receipts. Data miners dug into promotional assets from Season 2. They found character renders with slight, almost imperceptible differences from Bella's likeness. VFX specialists started analyzing frame-by-frame comparisons, claiming that Ellie's facial model looked subtly altered, smoother, less specific, almost generic. And then came the AI breakdown videos. YouTubers released full side-by-side analyses. One channel showed leaked footage of HBO's animation team testing digital doubles, with facial scans that looked like Ellie, but didn't quite match Bella. Another claimed that internal HBO documents mentioned the term asset independence, allegedly referring to marketing content that wouldn't require live talent. Translation, they were testing how to continue using Ellie without Bella Ramsey. For some fans, it was a gut punch. The idea that a real actress could be replaced by a deepfake version of herself wasn't just dystopian, it was offensive, but others celebrated it. They said it was the right call, that AI Ellie looked more like the game version, that HBO was finally listening to the fans. Fan edits exploded. People started inserting AI Ellie into game scenes, trailers, even fake commercials. It wasn't just speculation anymore, it was fantasy fulfillment. Bella had gone from being the face of a franchise to an obstacle fans were eager to digitally erase. And the worst part, Bella didn't say a word, she didn't deny it, didn't defend herself, didn't even post. Her Instagram went silent, her Twitter vanished, her name faded from HBO's marketing altogether. And in Hollywood, silence doesn't protect you. It buries you, because once the studio finds a way to replace you, they rarely go back. It didn't happen overnight. There was no single moment when Bella Ramsey lost the fandom. It was slower than that. Subtle, creeping, quiet, like a slow leak that turns into a flood. At first, her fans defended her fiercely. They made TikToks of her best scenes. They wrote long Twitter threads about her emotional range, her activism, her courage. They pushed back against the hate, insisting she was Ellie, even if she didn't look exactly like the game version. But over time, the tone changed. The defenses got quieter. The edits slowed down. The fan pages stopped updating. And then came the shift. Reddit threads started getting pinned with titles like, "Was she ever the right choice? How it all fell apart. The Ellie we deserved." On YouTube, new video essays started trending. The rise and fall of Bella Ramsey. How HBO miscast their lead. Why the fandom turned. The very people who once shouted down critics were now nodding along. And even worse, they started rewriting history. People began pretending they never supported her in the first place. I knew she wasn't a fit from day one. This was always doomed. Should have been Kaitlyn Dever. The passion was gone, replaced by disillusionment. And that's the thing about fandoms. They love hard, but when they turn, they don't just walk away. They rewrite the narrative. They meme you into a punchline. They clip your worst moments. They pretend your best scenes never happened. Bella Ramsey went from being the center of viral praise to the subject of viral takedowns. performance. TikToks labeled her Hollywood's biggest miscast. Fan cams that once glorified her now ridiculed her. Even the soundtrack from The Last of Us was used ironically, played over sad montages of her red carpet fails and awkward interviews. And through it all, Bella stayed quiet. Maybe because she thought it would pass. Maybe because she was tired. Or maybe because she saw the writing on the wall. This wasn't just about Ellie anymore. This was about how fast the internet builds you up and how much faster it tears you down. There was no public fallout, no contract termination, no viral scandal. But Bella Ramsey's disappearance from Hollywood wasn't a mystery. It was a pattern. And if you looked closely, the signs were everywhere. Press tours, she stopped appearing. Interviews, quietly canceled. Trailers, focused on Pedro Pascal, ensemble casts, side characters, anyone but Bella. Even her social media footprint began to shrink. One by one, her connections went dark. Pedro Pascal stopped liking her posts. HBO's official account unfollowed her. Co-stars dodged her name during interviews. The silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was intentional, and it didn't stop with HBO. Industry insiders began whispering that major studios were steering clear of her entirely. Casting directors didn't want the noise. PR firms saw her name as a reputational risk. Sponsors, from fashion to tech, quietly withdrew. No statements, no headlines, just empty inboxes. Hollywood doesn't always cancel you with a press release. Sometimes they just stop calling. By 2025, Bella Ramsey had become the cautionary tale no one wanted to admit they helped write. An actor who spoke her truth, who stood by her character, who refused to play the game and got punished for it. And the final twist? HBO never acknowledged her exit. There was no farewell to Ellie, no emotional behind-the-scenes featurette, no retrospective on her performance, just a quiet shift in tone, a new marketing direction, a franchise without its star. And to the fans, that silence spoke louder than any statement ever could. Behind every downfall is a question nobody wants to ask. Did Bella Ramsey really fail, or was she just an easy target? Think about it. She delivered a critically acclaimed performance in Season 1. She carried one of the most emotionally complex characters in gaming history. She did press, red carpets, award shows, the full machine. And yet, by Season 2, she was being systematically removed. So what really happened? Was it fan backlash? Was it controversy? Was it internal pressure from execs who regretted the casting decision but didn't want to admit it? Or was it something simpler, something colder? Damage control. Because by the time Season 2 rolled around, The Last of Us had problems. Ratings were down, buzz was fading, controversies were piling up. And Hollywood always needs a fix, a distraction, a fall guy. Bella became the face of every complaint, the scapegoat for every misstep, the convenient answer to a question executives didn't want to dig too deeply into. Why is Season 2 underperforming? The audience doesn't like Bella. Problem solved. But the irony? She kept showing up, kept performing, kept fighting for the role, even as it slowly slipped away from her. And that's what makes her story so savage. Because she wasn't fired. She was erased, with no warning, no ceremony, no closure. By the time award season rolled around, The Last of Us was an afterthought. No major nominations, no Best Actress buzz, no campaign to get Bella her Emmy. She wasn't on posters, wasn't mentioned in interviews, wasn't even included in the retrospective promos HBO released celebrating the legacy of the show. It was like she had never been there, and the fans noticed. Where's Bella? Why isn't Ellie getting recognition? Why is HBO pretending she doesn't exist? But the studio stayed silent, and the silence said it all. In their eyes, the Ellie of the future wasn't Bella anymore. It was a marketing asset, a digital character, a safe, sanitized version that didn't come with tweets, opinions, or headlines. The human version, the real one, had become too risky. And just like that, the girl who brought Ellie to life became a ghost in her own story. The merchandise dried up, the social media edits vanished, the YouTube tributes turned into criticism essays. Bella Ramsey had gone from breakout star to Hollywood memory, and not even a controversial one, just forgotten. So here's the question that lingers. Was Bella Ramsey a miscast or a misused talent? She had the performance, she had the conviction, she had the fan base at first. But in the world of IP-driven entertainment, that's not always enough, because when you play a character like Ellie, you're not just acting, you're becoming a symbol. And symbols are dangerous when they stop being convenient. Bella brought fire, she brought vulnerability, she brought truth, and the internet couldn't handle it. The fandom that once fought for her turned against her. The studio that once championed her ghosted her. And the industry that promised to celebrate bold voices let her fade into silence. Now, with no new roles, no interviews, and no Ellie to fight for, Bella Ramsey is more question than answer. Was she taken down by roasts? By a studio too scared to back its own choice? Or did Hollywood simply decide that this version of Ellie was no longer worth remembering? In a world where stories are rewritten in real time and people are replaced by algorithms, maybe Bella's biggest mistake was being human.